Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our participants and everyone joining us from across the globe. Welcome to our webinar on MOSIP Decode. I am Resham Chugani, Product Manager at MOSIP, and I oversee our various products and use case integrations. Along with me on the call, we are joined by our MOSIP team, panning across from product owners to technical architects to engineers. Also amidst us on the call, we would be shortly joined by our leadership team, our experts, the Chief Technology Officer, Ramesh Narayanan, Head of Engineering, Shashikumar Ganeshan. On the call, we also have the Head of Academy, Sanat, and Head of Country Implementations, Krishnan. So I'm happy to welcome all our stakeholders on this call. And most importantly, we are excited to welcome you, the participants of the hackathon. So to help you in your hackathon journey, we have curated this series of webinars between today and tomorrow. Just to highlight, our engagement wouldn't stop with this webinar, but we will continue to engage with you beyond this as well. Details of which will be shared with you over the course of our session today. So can we have the slide up, Swati?
Yeah, sure, Rishabh. Let me share the screen.
Yeah. Right. So let's give you a glimpse into what to expect over the next hour in today's webinar. Next slide, please, Swati. Right. So we'll begin with an in-depth overview of MOSIP Decode, covering the general guidelines, and then we'll move on to into a detailed look at the various problem statements that have been published. While today we'll dive into about 3 out of the 7 scenarios, the remaining 4 will be addressed in the next session, which is tomorrow. Following this, we'll have an open Q&A session to address all your queries. However, having said that, if you have any questions during the session, please submit them through the Q&A drop box, and we will have them addressed as we go along. So just to highlight, this is a great opportunity for you to engage with our technical and functional teams, clarify any questions that you may have. So we encourage you to actively participate and make the most of these sessions. And let's just get started now. So, yeah, before we move on into the actual segments of the various sessions that we have for today, we would like to give you a brief overview of our solution offerings, which is MOSIP, eSignet, and NG. While we have already published video content and links to our documentation on these solutions on the Decode Hackathon website, you can find this under the section titled Resource Center. Let's just do a quick recap of what these solutions mean, because most of the problem statements that you have registered for will have to integrate with at least one of these solutions. So let's begin with MOSIP. What is MOSIP? MOSIP basically stands for Modular Open Source Identity Platform. It is the core. It is basically a platform which is meant for countries to customize and configure the platform based on their needs and subsequently issue foundational digital IDs to their residents. Here we mean national digital IDs. We now have a global presence across 25 plus countries with about 121 plus million residents registered using MOSIP. Now, let's say an individual has a national ID issued. Do we think that would be sufficient? We believe that an ID is only as good as what it can enable. So that's where the next 2 solutions that you see on screen, NG and eSignet, come to play, which can work independent of MOSIP, where eSignet is a tool for online verification and NG is a credentialing stack that we have to offer. So let me simplify that in simple. So in today's fast-moving world of digitization, where we keep seeing most of the services are moving online, it has become quite critical for an individual to create an account and remember multiple passwords, establish their identity, etc., to avail any kind of service. So today, if you need to purchase a SIM card or if you need to open a bank account, uh, the key prerogative here is for you to establish your identity. And if this process is happening online, you are thrived upon the responsibility of creating multiple usernames, remembering multiple passwords, which has sort of become an overhead, right? Now, eSignet comes to play here as an authentication solution to enable online authentication. So, like you have login with Google or login with Facebook, you could imagine a login with any national ID or any trusted ID using eSignet. So let's hold on to that thought on eSignet, which facilitates online authentication, eventually benefiting the end user for delivery of services. But having said that, it's not always the case where every user is tech savvy, or every user, wherever they are placed, they have internet connectivity and they are online. They could be offline in certain cases. And since not everyone is tech savvy, they would prefer to use solutions in an assisted mode rather than a self-service mode. Keeping all of these aspects in mind, we would like to talk about INGI, which is sort of a suite of solutions to uh, issue, verify, download, manage your credentials, your digital credentials, which can then accommodate authentication online and offline. It facilitates, rather, it helps you to exchange your trusted digital data that eventually enables service delivery. So again, I would not want to get into too many details on INGI and eSignet. This is just a very high-level overview of what these three solutions mean, only because you will have to be touching base with one of these three solutions as you uh, solve for your problem statements. So with this, I think we would like to move on to the actual segment, the first segment of the webinar. So I would like to call upon Sanat, our head of MOSIP Academy, to take us through the first segment of the webinar, which is an introduction to MOSIP Decode as a hackathon, and take us through the guidelines and various aspects. Sanat, over to you.
Thanks, Resham. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay. First, let us look at what is Decode and then what is the benefits of participating in Decode. So this is going to be a virtual hackathon. That means you may work offline and deliver your solution to us. So that is why it's a virtual hackathon, and it's targeted for student community, and you are contributing to MOSIP open source platform. It could be, as Resham mentioned, it could be in the core platform or eSignet or NG. We'll see the list of problem statements. We will look at that. It basically offers participants opportunity to learn from industry experts. The collective experience of MOSIP team is more than 200 years. So there is a lot of experience behind the team involved. So you'll be interacting with them and learn a lot of technical and non-technical know-how. Uh, you will be proposing solutions for national digital infrastructure, because whoever participates will be feeling proud that the piece of code what you have written is used for betterment of mankind in somewhere in the developing country. So it's already, the platform is rolled out in more than 25 countries, and of course across the continent like Asia, Pacific, Africa, Latin America, and Caribbean. So you will be building solution which will be leveraging any of the MOSIP's key solutions, such as a core platform, ING and eSignet, just now what Resham um, showcased. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. What is in for participants? Why they should participate in MOSIP Decode? So we will be inviting juries who will be evaluating the solutions, and there will be a monetary reward. We have kept aside 10,000 US dollars to distribute it across different prizes for different teams. So that is the one motivating factor. Other, will be issuing certificates to all the participants whose solutions are evaluated. Then there is possibility of internships for students to work with MOSIP team and contribute to MOSIP platform. That is possible. And this, whatever the outcome of the hackathon, where the winning solutions will be showcased in a global audience at MOSIP Connect. We are having an event in Manila in 2025 March. So there the solutions will be showcased. The best solutions or the fitting solutions will be integrated and will be rolled out as part of MOSIP platform, which will be creating larger impact into the countries where MOSIP is being implemented. So that is another value proposition. Then, as we discussed earlier, it's a valuable experience because you're learning from experts, you're getting into digital ID domain. These are all value added proposition for you. Then, as I mentioned, because MOSIP is a global platform which is being rolled out across continents, you will be part of global recognition. Okay, next slide, please. Now, if you look at, I think you would have already gone through this list as when you registered with the hackathon. We will be having a detailed sessions on each of these problem statements subsequent to my session. So if you look at, we have problem statements which are around the INGI and eSignet, as well as there are certain problem statements which goes with the platform, like multiple UNG user profiles. INGI is as Resham mentioned, it's a mobile application and complete verifiable credential stack. Uh, the mobile part of that is supporting as of now one user profile, but in a scenarios where multiple users are sharing a single mobile, how they manage the privacy and security. So that is where we want this to be extended. This is a very interesting problem statement there, which doesn't require much of knowledge about MOSIP per se. If you are familiar with mobile application development, that is good enough. Then the other interesting part is the blockchain-based DITs. DITs are used in INGI Certify for what to say, uniquely identifying credentials, etc. So currently we are using a technology called web-based DITs, but we want move to blockchain-based. As you are all aware of, blockchain is the one of the key hot topics in IT industry. So we want to build it around that. So this is another interesting problem. Then third problem, adding revocation feature. These are as per standards of verifiable credentials. There are specifications for how to revoke uh, a credential, but there are challenges also around that in a distributed environment, how this should be addressed, etc. It's not a very simple problem. So it allows you to look into the various standards and what to say, the concepts around verifiable credentials. So this is also an interesting project. The fourth one is a OCR for digital forms. The statement's very simple, but the problem is not that simple. This would call for using machine learning, because it is not just extracting text, it is also matching the kind of documents in the context of MOSIP, basically documents, like somebody puts his Mars card, or somebody is putting their um, Aadhaar or PAN, etc. Right? How do you detect whether it's a PAN or not, etc. So this requires a lot of machine learning with um, techniques. So this is another solution we are looking at. The other one is a simple application, INGI-based digital hall ticket, using our credential stack to build a complete um, hall ticket management system. The MOSIP has a lot of notifications within the platform. we want that notification today is supporting OTPs, SMS and emails. We want this to be extended to WhatsApp based, because today WhatsApp is the very hot tool, right? Yeah. Then similar to our ng based digital hall ticket, we have another application proposed, that is attendance application using eSignet. So these topics will be detailed in the subsequent sessions. I just brought it up. Please go to the next slide. MOSIP Decode timelines. I think you have already seen this in our portal. Yeah, we have registration is you people who are not yet registered can still register. Registration is open till 1st November. And we are planning for webinars today and tomorrow. You're attending already. Then you can start the solution building. In fact, as soon as registered, you can start looking at the solution and start building it. But last date is 30th November. And after that, we'll start the evaluation and we'll announce the winner by 31st Jan. And as I mentioned, in March, we have an event in Manila where the preparation for that MOSIP Connect will be started on will be done in Feb. Okay, next slide, please. So since you are building for MOSIP, we expect all the deliverables such as, of course, source code, the first thing, then a working prototype and it's a demo, then some presentations for pitch presentation, the key features of your solution, then usage and installation instructions if it is applicable, depending on the problem statement. When you discuss with a mentor, they will tell what installation scripts are required or not. Same way, if you are building some APIs, please do provide API documentation or Swagger interface, whichever is convenient. Then when you are delivering, we will be expecting you to deliver the source code via Git. Please make sure you kept all the version control histories. If video demo possible, mock-ups, wireframes if applicable, depending on the solution. Next slide, please. So submission process, we expect you to provide the source code via your own Git repository, create a private repo and share the repo access with the Git handle Vishwa Vyom. Vishwa is one of the architect. He will be presenting later. You will share with him. Then any other deliverables like videos, etc., you can upload to a drive and share the drive with us via sending an email to decode@mosip.io. You can send your team name, problem statement, URLs, etc. So next slide, please. So please follow these. Please understand these guidelines. First thing is, I think most important thing is you are submitting the code to MOSIP, which is an open source. So ensure what you provide is a open sourceable code, right? It's contributed to MOSIP. Then in most of the projects, you will be using tools and libraries which are open source, except maybe in WhatsApp, you may have to use a library from WhatsApp, or WhatsApp itself is a commercial product. But otherwise, you can, as much as possible, please ensure you use the open source tools and libraries. So ensure you are taking any of the problem statements and working on that. Don't bring your own problems here. It is the listed problems. You should work on that. Okay, I think these are the key rules. You can go through details whenever you have time. Yeah, how do you engage with us? Of course, webinar, we will be explaining about the problems and detailing out. Then we also opened up a Discord channel. You can see in our website, the link to that. You can click on join that. Then there is also discussion forum in our hackathon portal. You can use that. If during project, if you have some questions and you want to have more interactions with the mentors, then you can request for personalized chat channels and we will set it up. So follow our website and maintain for look for the more details. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Resham. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Sanath, for the very detailed overview on the Decode hackathon. I think it's a good start for our participants to understand uh, what are the core expectations out of the hackathon. So with this, I would like to pass on to Sanchi, who is our product owner from the Inji team, as well as Swati Goel, who is the technical lead from Inji, to take us through a functional and technical overview of the first problem statement, which is multiple Inji user profiles on shared devices. So Sanchi, over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Resham. Hello, everyone. I'm Sanchi. I work as a product owner for Inchi product. And today we'll be outlining the multiple user profile feature that is one of the problem statement that we want to get it integrated with our Inji wallet. So Swati, maybe we can showcase the PDF. So as you see, you would have read this earlier, but the first overview section talks about the problem statement. So I'll give you a high level understanding what this problem is and why we want to cater it. The need for this feature arises from the reality that many families share a single smartphone, particularly in cases that we have been seeing, which involves smaller children below 18 years or below 12 years of age, and senior citizens of the family, where they are not very tech savvy person and there's a single smartphone that they want to use it for multiple usage of that particular device. So this presents a challenge when it comes to securely managing your digital credentials. So with this problem statement, with this use case, we want that with the existing Inji wallet, we want an additional feature to be built catering to this problem statement, which is multiple user profile for different needs and preferences of that particular family. So our solution will focus on creating capability within existing Inji wallet that supports multiple individual profiles. Each will have personalized, stored verifiable credential. This setup will enhance the privacy, even allow each family member to have their credentials stored within one single device, but they'll have multiple profile, which can be switched from like a father's profile to a mother's profile, and then from to a children's profile or to a grandfather's profile, and different credentials can be downloaded within each of the profiles. So this is on the high level, this is the overview of the problem statement and the feature we want to bring it out with this area. Now, if you see, we have a certain set of mandatory tasks that we want the participants and the attendees who are working on this problem statement to complete it during the building of this particular feature. We want Inji Wallet APK to be built, which will support the creation, switching, and management of multiple user profiles, which can store family members' verifiable credentials. They should be able to download it. They should be able to view it. Profile creation would be required, so that can be up to the participant. They can select the profile they want to create it. It can be 2 to 3 number of profiles that can be created. And if you see, then the VC management is required, that how the VC can be downloaded. So there's already Inji Wallet. It's an existing application. So Swati will take you through the technical resources also, that how the existing wallet can be set up and how you can initiate and create this new feature out of the existing wallet. While you're doing the creation of each of the profile, while the profile is being created and you have to download the credentials, you have to generate the credentials, there's a cryptographic key pair which is generated when each of the profile is created and VCs are being fetched at that point of time. So maybe technically we'll talk about that, how it is done. As a user of a Inji wallet, let's imagine in your house you have one phone and there are multiple users. you want to securely manage your credentials. One of the use case can be picked up, like it's up to the participant what use case they want to pick up and create different profiles. So there are two things that needs to be done for setting up this feature and creating this feature is for the first time user setup and the profile switching once the first time user setup is completed. So for the first time user setup is the user has downloaded the Inji wallet application in their mobile for the first time. So they should be having a page where they create their profile. And once the profile is created, they should be able to download the credentials. And profile switching is that obviously there will be more than one user that their profile would be created. So there should be an option to switch the profile. While you're switching the profile, to build up the security layer, we want the facial authentication to happen while like from father, if mother wants to open her credentials and see it, or like your kid wants to open the credentials and see it. So there's a facial authentication or facial verification which will be involved. And as part of the mandatory task, we want the support for the Android application to be available. And good to have is something, if you're able to build this within the given time period, good to have is that even if you are able to give the support for iOS. So maybe I'll hand it over to Swati. She'll take you through all the technical details of this particular problem statement. Swati, over to you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sachi. Yeah. So I think deliverables, Sanat has already outlined at the start what we're expecting at the end of the solution. So I'll skip the deliverables part. I'll directly move to the resources. So as Sachi mentioned, this use case is basically we have to build on top of NG. So what will require is some setup for the NG to be there. So let me go through step by step. So this is the NG documentation page. So we are talking about NG wallet here. So there is one section which is talking about build and deployment. So this can help to run and build the NG application locally and run on the mobile devices. Everything is outlined here, how to build it for Mac or the Windows platform and all. And if you are working on iOS also, there are the steps to build for the iOS as well. So we can follow these steps to build the NG. And apart from this, the NG code base is also there. This is the GitHub repo for the NG code base where you can just fork this repo into your private account and work on top of it. Second thing we have mentioned about how to create the profile. So there is no database involved here currently in NG application. So the user profile creation has to be a front end UI in NG where user can you can have a page which needs few information like name and other things, and that data can be persisted within in mobile. So there are two ways to persist the data. Either we can use the shared preferences within provided by Android SDK, or we can use the MMKV storage. So NG is using MMKV storage for the data management internally. Second thing we have mentioned about the cryptographic key pair generation, right? So like each key pair should belong to the one profile. So we have this component called secure key store that is built to generate a key pair. So let me just jump to that. So this is a library for secure key store. It was to generate a key pair so that it will create public and private key, and those keys are basically backed with the hardware key store. So we can leverage this library to create a key pair for each profile. It might require some enhancement into this to support a key pair for each profile. Currently, NG supporting only one profile, so we just generated one key pair and use that for the downloading and other things. So that is a library we have to look at that as well. Yeah, so that's about the secure key storage. VC storage is nothing but, as I mentioned, this is stored within a NG mobile. There is no database involved. So we are using MMKV storage. So NG is a React Native application. We can just go through the MMKV storage. How does it work? And it's already configured in NG. We have to just use it as a key pair, nothing else. Simple hash map kind of key pair it is. And face authentication SDK for local face verification. So we already have integrated this face mesh SDK. There is nothing new coming up, I think, in the flow for this user profile switching. So that is already integrated in NG. this is the sandbox environment we have. So this sandbox environment is to try out the things to see how the current NG application works. So you can install the NG application link here, which is the Android application, and install on your phone. You can request UIN, which is nothing but a national ID for yourself to test the application, and then you can download the credential in your wallet and see how does it work today. That can also help to guide you how to work on this problem statement and where to basically integrate this user profile creation in the flow. And so link is mentioned here to request for the UIN so that we can generate a UIN shared with the respective participants. Yeah, and this is the guideline for the collab environment. This is the environment which we are talking about, the sandbox environment we have to try out and in GStacks. So this is about that. Let's go through quickly to the flow also, how we are looking for this use case. So what we are seeing is, so first time user or a family member install the NG wallet. So that says family member one. So there's some setup method, unlock method is there in the NG wallet currently, where you can use either a passcode or a biometric unlock methods. Once you unlock it, we expect a page which says click create profile setup. So basically this should be automatically opened a profile to create. In that profile, we can have few fields like name, mobile number, and photo. That profile creation will be there. Once you create the profile, that will be captured within a NG mobile internal storage, no external database. And then it will expect, so we expect to create a key pair as well along with this profile. So doing this key pair, we can use the secure key store APIs. So let me just quickly go to the NG wallet and show the secure key store API also. So NG-World is a React Native application built for Android and iOS both. So if you see, this is a layer we have written to integrate with the secure key store library. So it exposed few interface like generate key. This is for some in encryption part. This is the key pair. This is what we are referring to. So this key pair should be for each profile. So this is the API which creates a key pair. We might need to enhance this API to support creating a key pair for each profile. Okay, so that we can use this, and then also we have a getters also to get the key along with that. So this RN secure key mixture is for the Java. Similarly, we have equivalent in the iOS as well that you can see in the iOS directory. Okay, it's not on the master. For the iOS, the release version, we are yet to release a secure key store for iOS. The release version is still using the internal React Native storage that we can use it. I can just show that. Let me just. I think that will be a little technical into the code if I want to go into two details. But still, let me just. So if you see the generate key pair method is there, we generate a key pair. So once you go see the implementation of the generate key pair, you will identify for the Android, we are using secure key store library. And for the iOS, it's a different React Native library dependencies, which basically nothing, it use the iOS keychain to generate these key pairs. Yeah. So coming back to the user flow. So what we are expecting is we will create a user profile and generate a key pair. Next is what we are saying is once the profile is created, we can link that profile with the national ID. So basically we can download a VC and link that profile with that VC. And how to download a VC, that is already supported in NG application. So next diagram explains that how do we download the VC. So there is an action button calls plus icon which indicates downloading a VC. It will open a page to enter that national ID which will be shared with you, and it will do the authentication through e-signet. That's what Resham mentioned at the start of the webinar. We using e-signet for the authentication, and then we download the VC, and then we see the VC on the NG wallet, and that VC also gets stored within a MMKV storage as well, so that it can work in the offline mode. The next action we have to do as per this use case, link that VC to the profile, so that when we switch the profile, we see the correct VC belonging to the particular profile. So that's the use case for the downloading a VC. And third one is sharing a VC with biometric. So there is nothing new coming up in the flow. It's all existing flow exists in currently in G application. So currently, just like we are supporting only one profile kind of thing because we have only one wallet. We store all the VCs into one application. So the only thing is like we just have to switch the profile. Whenever the profile is switched, the existing functionality will be intact. So you can see this diagram how does currently in G application works. So we will recommend to at least try out this MG application on Collab environment, request for the UIN and get the VC downloaded. That will also help you to imagine the solution what we have outlined here. Yeah, that's it from this use case side. Anything that you want me to add here?
No, Swati, I think that was quite detailed and elaborate. Thank you so much. So, with this, I would like to invite the next speaker for the next segment. So, I would like to invite Vishwanath Vaidyanathan. He is our principal architect for MOSIP. He will take us through the next two problem statements, which is support for blockchain-based DIDs in NG Certify, and the subsequent one, which is adding the revocation feature in NG. So Vishwa, over to you.
Thanks, Resham. Hello, everyone. Hope I'm audible. You good?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so we are a little short of time. I'm going to be a little faster. We'll cover in the AMA section if there are more queries. So I'm going to take you through two problem statements. One, support for blockchain-based DIDs, and the second statement is on the revocation of NG. For both these problem statements, I'd like to give a small context, and then we can go into the problem statements. If you actually look at the NG stack, if you have gone through the documentation, you would have understood that NG works based on this verification model called decentralized verification model. Basically, in this model, there are three different roles. There is issuer, there is holder, and then there is a verifier. You can think all these three things as a triangle. So normally issuer is, as a one-liner, issuer is responsible to issue some kind of detailing about a user as a certificate or some mechanism to the user, whom we also call it as holder here. So the responsibility of the holder is about receiving this data and then it's storing it and then also presenting it for any use cases. And verifier is a role where it is supposed to receive data from the holder, and then it is also supposed to verify this data and then take any business actions that is necessary. At a very high level, when you understand the decentralized verifiable model, this is how it operates. Just to understand this, let's take an example of a university degree certificate. If you want to put it into the same model, university will be the issuer, right? They contain all the students' data and all these informations about the students, their marks, etc. The holder will be the student. And then the verifier will be, for example, it could be a company who's offering a job to the student. And they collect this university degree certificate as one information to do all the background checks and everything today, just as an example to understand this model. So let's assume if this whole thing happens in the digital world, right? The certificates and other things are just a photocopy or an image that is being shared from issuer to holder, and then it goes to the verifier. There's one big challenge here, right? When you look at the verifier, how does verifier trust the certificate? What if somebody is creating a fake certificate, fake photocopy or an image, and then they are going to share this to a company, right? So there is a problem of fraudulent scenarios that can happen when it comes to the digital world. So this is where VC comes in, right? In this entire model, I was only talking about data, but actually when you are creating it as a verifiable credential and then sharing it from the issuer to holder and holder to verifier, what you will see that is it brings in authenticity and integrity as the benefits. So how does it bring in integrity? Because this verifiable credential contains a digital signature. So this digital signature helps us with authenticity and integrity. If you understand the concept of digital signature, it works on a topic called public key cryptography. In the public key cryptography, there are basically two keys. There is a public key and a private key. Normally, the data is signed with a private key, and then the public key is used for verifying the signature. This entire thing, when you look at it, right, you need to use the right public key to verify the signature. If you're using a different public key, the verification may fail. So this brings into a conclusion that the discovery of the public key is how is the topic around the trust. How verifier can trust the certificate or trust the verifiable credential, right? So that is majorly based on how this public key is discovered. If somebody is able to make the verifier believe on a wrong public key, then the trust can be actually broken, right? And now this is the context. Just to summarize, we have this issuer holder verifier. There is a verifiable credential issued by the issuer. Holder is going to hold it, and then he is going to give it to the verifier for any business use case, right? And then this whole thing is based on the trust of discovery of the public key. This is the context I want to set. Okay, so let's go to the problem. I'm sharing my screen now, and then showing the PDF for the second topic, which is blockchain-based debts in NG Certify. So the context, what I was setting about the public key, right? So NG uses this standard called DID, decentralized identifiers. So this is a W3C standard. Based on this standard is how NG discovers the public key for verification. So it also means that while the issuance is done, this DID needs to be used. So so when you look at the current implementation of NG, NG Certify is the module which is responsible to do the issuance. So web-based decentralized identifier is what NG supports as of today. It takes care of majority of the use cases, but there is also globally there's been a lot of advantages that we see using blockchain. So we would like to enhance the NG stack, supporting blockchain-based debts also. Since we use this DID protocol, which supports web, blockchain, and various other mechanisms, this enhancement becomes very easier. So this ideally what we want to do is this public key discovery, what we do using web today, which is based on the website, and this public key is hosted on a website, and then the verifier is going to call the website and then get this public key and then do the verification. The trust is totally based on the domain name. But when we are doing blockchain, the trust goes into the blockchain. So this public key is part of the blockchain, and we are going to discover based on that. So that is the enhancement we want to bring in as part of this topic. When we are going to the recommended tech stack, since this is an enhancement to the existing tech stack, so the same tech stack needs to be used. We have NG Certify, who is responsible to do the issuance, the issuer side of the story. And then NG Web is the holder side of the story. There is a module, which is a web application. It's able to receive the credentials. So there needs to be some changes there. And then we have this NG Verify, which is the third module, which is used for the actual verification, which is used by the verifiers, right? So all these three modules has to go through some amount of changes to introduce this blockchain-based DID capability. Going to the mandatory task. So as I was saying, NG Certify is the issuance module. So generation of VC with the blockchain-based DID method, the support needs to be enabled there. So that is one of the mandatory tasks. And the verifiable credential that is going to be generated has to clearly point out which blockchain-based DID that it is using. And it should be resolvable also. So the second task goes to the verification part. This is the resolution that I was talking about. Given a decentralized ID DID, there needs to be a a resolution mechanism to get the public keys. So that needs to be implemented, and that needs to be integrated into the G-Verify module. And all these aspects we are suggesting to be done on the mock identity plugin, because this is the simplest, most implementation or integration of ng stack with the mock plugins. And then the deadbed resolver needs to be written, or any universal resolver needs to be supported. For example, it could be an Ethereum based blockchain. In case of Ethereum based blockchain, you could find an existing resolver open source that is already available. You can use that and then do the resolution. But this needs to be integrated with the ng verify and shown as an end-to-end demo where we are able to do an issuance, and that goes to the web, and from there it goes to the verify, and then we are able to do the verification of this resolved public key and the VC also. So going through the deliverables, Sanatha has given a brief detailing on this one. On the resources, to simplify the development work, we would suggest to use the Docker Compose. So all these three modules, ng Certify, ng Web, and ng Verify, all these three modules has Docker Composes. You can run all those things in the developer machine, and then these enhancements can be done, and end-to-end functional demo can be actually achieved right from there. So Collab can be used for experiencing the platform, but for this particular problem statement, we should be good with using the Docker Compose to show the enhancement. Moving to the second topic. So this is the third topic. Third topic is about a revocation feature to be added in ng. So coming back to the context, right? So we have an issuer, holder, and verifier, and issuer is going to issue a verifiable credential, and then that is going to be presented to the presented by the holder to the verifier, right? But what can happen over a period of time is issuer, for some reason, for it could be various other business use cases on which they want to revoke this verifiable credential, right? With this decentralized identity verification, which brings in an advantage of privacy preserving, since verifier does not reach out directly to the issuer to check the originality of the verifiable credential. Rather, it does in a decentralized way. So it brings in an advantage, but it also brings in a disadvantage where it is given to the holder, and holder can use it multiple times, right? So at some point in time, or few scenarios, verifier needs to confirm back whether this VC is still valid, right? It could is it for any reason revoked by the issuer? So those kind of checks needs to be done. So that is where the revocation as a feature comes into ng stack. So the overall task here is about bringing in this feature where necessary APIs needs to be opened up in ng Certify to point to a particular credential and then revoke that credential. And in a privacy preserving way, we want to give this information to the verifier, so that Certify or the issuer still does not know that verifier is asking for the status of a particular user, right? We don't want that privacy to be opened up because of the revocation mechanism that we are bringing in. So we are bringing in, or we want to develop this using another open protocol called Verifiable Credential API. When it comes to the mandatory task, I'll open this. So this is one other specification from W3C. And here we want to use this update status API. So there is an API already designed by this VC API standard to update the status. We want the same API to be used in ng Certify to bring in this revoke capability. And there could be some internal user calling this API and updating the status of a credential. This is one part of the story from the ng Certify side. Okay. So when we are going back to the next set of tasks, we want to implement this based on one more protocol called status list. So the privacy preserving aspect of how a revocation information can be relayed to the verifier is based on this protocol. Okay, hope my screen is still visible. Okay, I'm not going to go into the details of this specification itself, but the idea is there's going to be a particular file where there's going to be multiple credential status maintained together. So when a verifier is accessing it, he's going to access the entire file. He's not going to access a specific credential. So this brings in the privacy preserving aspect. So the task that we want to achieve is in an existing verifiable credential, we want to bring in this new credential status segment, which in NG Certify we currently don't have. This needs to be brought in, where this clearly specifies that for the status, it has to reach out to this particular verifiable credential. And then for this particular credential, it has to look at this particular index. So there is an index, there's a long list, a 16 KB file, which is compressed and has a long list of credential status in that file. So we are going to look at this particular index for the status of this credential. So whenever this credential is revoked, the status has to tell that it has revoked for this particular index. Otherwise, it's going to tell that it is still active. Okay, so this protocol, this specification document has a lot of details how this implementation needs to be done. So the task that we are looking at is an implementation of this specification in NG Certify and NG Verify. So all these endpoints and internal facing APIs needs to be created. So NG Verify module needs to also go through some changes to check the revocation. So there is a flow. I'll do a quick run through of the flow. But there is also one more good to have task to also include this into the NG Wallet. NG Wallet was the other module that the first topic was covering, where we are doing the multiple user support. So good to have task is to also for the NG Wallet to consume the same specification to check the revocation status and then tell the issuer. That is a good to have task. So I'd like to quickly go through this. Okay, so there's going to be an internal user. There's going to be a new revocation API that needs to be created in NG Certify that needs to be called. So then the revocation status is maintained in the NG Certify. And then whenever the credential is used by NG Web or Wallet to the verifier, this whole block, what we see here is the NG Verify. So once the VC is received, today we do the proof signature check and a lot of tamper evidence check and everything here. Additional revocation check needs to be performed. So which is where this status list 2021 based call needs to be made to the NG Certify to get the revocation status. And then it has to be checked before telling that it's all good with consuming the VC. Before that, revocation check needs to be introduced. So there is a task at the NG Certify side to bring in a new API based on VC API standard. There's going to be one more new check that needs to be introduced in the NG Verify called revocation check, which is based on the specification. These are the two mandatory tasks. And introduction of same flow directly into the wallet and telling user that a VC has been revoked is an additional good to have task that can be covered as part of this problem statement. The resources are typical documents on NG. And again, we have the same Docker Compose for NG Certify, NG Web, and NG Verify. For all these three things, we have Docker Compose set up. And the code is also available in the GitHub. So you can make changes and run it as a Docker Compose all in the developer machine. And then the end-to-end demo can be shown right from there. I think I'm done. Over to you, Risha.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Vishwa. So that brings us to the end of the planned sessions that we had for the webinar. We would like to open up the forum for any questions that you may have. And we have our experts here with us, the functional and the technical experts. We have our architects on the call. So if you have any specific questions, we would like to take them now. We have been responding to all your questions on the Q&A Dropbox. So yeah, we'll keep answering them as well. But do you have any other specific questions with respect to the problem statements? We would be glad to take that now.
We have a question on problem statement too in Q&A section.
Okay, Vishwa, would you like to take that? What is a universal resolver and why are public keys to be discoverable through them?
Okay, thanks, Rishu.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you understand the NG stack, we talked about, again, back to the triangle, three roles, right? There's issuer, holder, and verifier. So this in a typical country could be from various solution providers. So it's an ecosystem of multiple issuers, multiple wallet applications, and there's going to be multiple verifiers. Not everybody is going to use NG stack, right? Everybody is going to align to the protocol so that they are interoperable, but they're not all going to be from the same technology stack and same open source projects, right? So which is the main reason it has to be resolvable through universal resolvers. So once we do this implementation in G35, the issuers who's using NG35 will get this capability of blockchain-based DID. But if the resolution is going to be very custom, not resolvable through universal resolvers, you'll see that verifiers who are not using the stack, they will not be able to resolve. So that is one of the main reasons why it should be resolvable through universal resolvers. And yeah, as part of the discussion or as part of the topic, I told the relevance of the public key, the importance of discovering the public key the right way, right? So that so resolving these public keys through universal resolvers is very essential for this topic. Yeah, Resham. Do we have more questions?
Not yet on any problem statements. We do have a question on the difference between. Okay, I see one more question that has dropped in. Vishwa, this is on topic 3. How frequent the verifier needs to check the revocation status of the credential?
Okay. So this is very specific to the use case, right? So if somebody, let's take the example of university degree certificate and there is an employment. This particular use case, employer is going to check whether it is revoked, whether the certificate is revoked at the time of maybe rolling out an offer or once the employers join, right? They don't do it that frequently to do this check. But let's take a use case of there is a land record or a registration that is done, and that is given as a VC, and there is a bank loan that is dispersed based on this land record VC to an individual, right? till the tenure of the bank loan, till the repayment is done, based on the policies that is available in the bank. Maybe every 6 months, 1 year, they may check on the revocation status of such credential. So the answer is on the use case where the credential stack is deployed, and the revocation status check frequency is purely based on that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Vishwa, there are a couple of more questions. If the revocation API is hosted by NG Certify, will it not cause any privacy issues since the verifier needs to call the issuer's endpoint to get the revocation status? So the emphasis is on the privacy concerns here.
Okay. This is a good question. So the reason, okay, this is a problem. We are trying to tackle this problem by using this standard specification called Status List 2021. So they are taking care of this by collating the status of multiple credential within a single file, and the status check from the verifier end, it is not expected to call an API, give a let's say give a credential ID and asking the status of that particular thing. It's not designed like that. So the specification states that a lot of things, like say some 10,000 or 20,000 credential status needs to be bundled into one single file, and that needs to be offered as a response. So the NG or the issuer will know that somebody is taking or asking the status from this particular file, but it could be for any one of those 10,000 different credentials. So NG Certify or the issuer does not really know for which particular credential the verifier is asking for it. So through this, we are tackling the privacy issue that this causes.
Okay. All right. I see a couple of more questions. So one is a general question. Can we choose multiple problem statements and work on it simultaneously? The answer is yes. We do not restrict participation. So if you think you have potential solutions across problem statements, then we do not restrict that. So please feel free to do that. All right. There is a question on the submission process. Is there no place for the teams to make all the submissions on the hackathon website itself? Since we are looking at code submissions, we recommend that you put it up on GitHub and then share it with us via email. So we would still like to carry on with that process of having the solution submitted through GitHub and then emailing us the URLs by email. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else on the problem statements as such. Do we have any more questions?
Visham, I think there are few questions, if you can check the open questions.
Okay, we see a couple of them have dropped in. Can I use this submission for other college projects also later? Okay, so if this is code submission, we would like you to pass on the IP of it because it would then become open source code. Vishwa, do you have any points to add there? Because this is more to do with the code submission here.
Yeah, Resham, you're right. It has to be passed on as open source contribution to the MOSIP project. But the commit history and everything is going to state that they have done the changes. They can demo this as their work in their colleges and etc. But it's an open source code that is contributed to MOSIP.
Okay. MOSIP create and MOSIP decode, I think we've already answered that. Two more open questions. What happens to our team's code after submission? We've just, I think Vishwa just addressed that. This becomes, since it's open source code, it becomes a part of the MOSIP Git repository, and then we could use it for further refinement and integrate it to our platform if we deem it to be fit. So that's what happens to the code after submission. How do we team up? You do have an option on the website, on the Hacker Earth website, where you can add members to your team. So once you have registered, you get an option to add members to your team. In case you need personalized help with how to add members, we request you to write to us at decode@mosip.io. We'll get in touch with you and take you through the process.
Resham, just to add to the question that was asked regarding what happens to the code after.
Rohit, we lost you.
I think Rohit was pointing out the question on what happens to a team's code after submission, but I believe that's
Yeah.
been answered.
No, I
Yeah.
think he wanted to add a couple of points.
Yeah, sorry, I'm back. My apologies. My internet went out. Just one last point to add on that is that, but you are the contributor of the code. We would acknowledge your contribution as part of the overall contributors page that MOSIP maintains and other things. At the same time, you can utilize that code. So it is not like it will only be consumed by MOSIP. So as Vishwa pointed out, you can put it in your demos and in your college and other places. And as well as being an open source code, you can utilize it at other places, being the core contributor. But as far as the copyright of the code is concerned, that is transferred to the university. Again, this is following the tenets of the open source philosophy. So the copyright is transferred to International Institute of Information Technology, where we are based on. But the code, essentially, the contributor part of it remains with you. That's all. Thank you. Thanks, Resham.
All right. We'll just give it a minute more, Rohit, in case there are any more questions coming up. I see the Dropbox is empty. All questions have been addressed.
Resham, we have addressed this question also, how to team up.
Yes, yes. All right, there's one question. Which will be more beneficial for career to participate, MOSIP Create or MOSIP Decode? Because there will be no time to work on both. I work on one thing more focusedly. Okay. So MOSIP Create and Decode are two very different, I would say one is a hackathon. So MOSIP Decode is a virtual hackathon, which is mainly targeted towards the student community. You, of course, the benefits here would be that you get to upgrade your portfolio, your skill set. You get mentored by our team of mentors here, and of course there is also a prize reward that's being associated. So while you do make an impact, you do solve for certain problems that we floated out. Uh, it is about those 7 problem statements that you look at solving within the digital identity space. While MOSIP Create is a program which is targeted more towards maybe subject matter experts, towards technology developers, towards organizations who already have existing solutions which could be integrated into maybe our core platform or eSignet or NG. It is not restricted to the 7 or 5 or 6 problem statements in particular. It is pretty open, where any solution, any organization that has any solution, it could be integrated to either the core platform, eSignet or NG, with an end objective of solving for real world use cases or real world concerns or problems that the countries that generally face. And the idea here is to have a long-term relationship with a long-term association with these organizations, where these solutions can then be presented to countries and actually be implemented in those countries. So we're looking at two very different programs here. My response would be that it depends where you come from. If you're a student, then Decode is what you could look at. But if you're an organization or an SME or a startup or a developer who already has an existing solution and would like to present that to countries to solve for certain real world groundbreaking use cases, then you could attempt MOSIP Create. Yeah, so if you're a student, Hema Bindu, I think you should go with MOSIP Decode. Can I ask for internship even if I don't win? Definitely yes. We are looking at community contributions. We thrive on community contributions. We would be really happy if you could come back and contribute to us through our community. Again, please do write to us on decode@mosip.io. If you're interested in internship, we'll definitely pursue that with you. We would like to engage with you on those conversations. So please do write to us at decode@mosip.io. Okay, I don't see any more questions here. So with that, I would just like to take an opportunity to thank you all for joining today's session of the webinar. We hope it was quite insightful. We hope it has provided you with a deeper understanding of the problem statements that were presented today, as well as the guidelines of the webinar, of the hackathon. We appreciate your active participation. We did see a lot of questions come forth. So we thank you for that, and we look forward to actually seeing the innovative solutions that you would be coming up with. Big thank you to our speakers, to our experts on the call as well. So we appreciate your time and effort in guiding the participants. And just a last closing note to the participants, feel free to reach out to us for any questions through the various communication channels on the hackathon website or Discord, or also you can write to us at decode@mosip.io. And please don't forget to join us tomorrow for the next session. We'll have the second part of the webinar being continued tomorrow. So best of luck with your existing projects, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.